All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the WeBookIt Podcast. Let's start the show.
Hello and good Monday evening once again to all of our family here at the WeBookIt Podcast. I am your host, Coach, for another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog, coming off a very disappointing Survivor Series. You know, Triple H came out and said, tonight's going to be epic. It was. They had some good moments, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say anything epic about tonight. But either way, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw, coming live from Glendale, Arizona, which oddly enough, the arena where the Phoenix Coyotes used to play, and you still had the Coyotes logo back there, they're no longer a team. So they obviously have not done any renovation since the Phoenix Coyotes have left. But I digress. We go on to our opening segment, which is Rhea Ripley and Io Sky giving a hero's welcome from the crowd on the heels of their victory, kicked off saying that they want a shot at the tag team titles against the Kabuki Warriors, mainly for revenge. However, that brings out Alexa and Charlotte, to which they took exception and said, actually, we never got our rematch, so technically we should be next in line. They do a little bit of back and forth, and then eventually a challenge is laid down, and that sets it up for our main event. And it will be Rhea and Io versus Charlotte and Alexa in a technically number one contenders match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. You know, it was a nice change of pace to starting Monday Night Raw. Nothing about the Vision, nothing about CM Punk coming in or Jey Uso or anything like that. It was kind of a nice change of pace. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was just a nice change of pace, like I said. Has this been done before, where both teams are saying we want a title match? No, we want a title match. Sure, but there's a little intrigue with this, and we find out later on in the evening with that. We go into our first match of the evening now. It is our first semifinal matchup. It is the Last Time Is Now tournament between Jey Uso and LA Knight. Obviously, a lot of history with these two, and these two didn't disappoint. A lot of back and forth, not really a lot of advantages over throughout the match. It wasn't until Uso delivered the spear and then kind of went for his pin, only to be kicked out by LA Knight. LA Knight then hit the Megaplex, but Jey Uso kicked out of that. So a lot of good near falls. And then it was right as Uso hit the Uso splash that LA Knight kicked out and shifted his weight, executed a crucifix roll-up, and scored the shocking victory. And I say shocking because a lot of people have been frustrated with LA Knight's booking, and everyone thought that Jey Uso was the for sure guy to go over here in this matchup. But it was a very big surprise. LA Knight with the win. He moves on to the finals to face off the winner of Gunther and Solo Sikoa, which happens later on in the match, for the chance to be John Cena's final opponent. But what happened after the match is what a lot of people are going to be talking about. It was Jey Uso, very upset. You know, he's frustrated, understandably so. He starts to crash out a little bit. Throws the Prime bottle stand, whatever you call that, the cart, whatever. Throws that, throws the steel steps, just goes into an absolute spiral. He calms down and just starts walking out, and eventually he just goes and leaves the arena and does a quick interview with Jackie Redmond. Nothing too crazy about that segment, though. But overall, I think solid match, especially between two baby faces that know how to work a crowd. Not really a slow pace. I liked that. Loved the back and forth with Knight and Uso, especially with trading blows. You had the crowd going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then Uso would come in and they'd go yeet, yeet, yeet. I think that was nice. And it finally got back to that narrative that we've been wondering about. Is Jey Uso going to turn heel or just crash out? We saw a little bit of that crash out today, and the last couple of weeks it's just been stopped because of War Games. So it's nice that we finally get a storyline, and it's almost like maybe the War Games match would have been more interesting if we had a little bit more better storytelling with the current storylines going on. That's just my opinion, but to each their own, I guess. Next segment, we have Dominic Mysterio and the rest of Judgment Day coming out, and he is celebrating his Intercontinental Championship win over John Cena. And then he says that although he did have help with the Judgment Day, it was actually Liv Morgan who was the difference maker, calls her out. She gets a big pop, yells out that she's back, talked about how she missed Dom, missed the Judgment Day, but then she starts talking about the rumors, speculation that the group is weak and falling apart, and then she says the Judgment Day now runs Monday Night Raw and is coming for everything and everyone, and then also she slapped Mysterio before jumping into his arms to close things out. That was kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. But either way, the main part of this was Morgan getting her big pop on her return, and pretty much almost, I won't say almost, but I think it's going to cement her as that big star, as that legitimate star, which she definitely has become over the last 2 years. Everything else about it, though, this is the same old Judgment Day crap that we've been hearing for the last 4 years. Do you think there's some obvious tension with Finn Balor and Liv Morgan, which is going to be rekindled? I think there's probably going to be a fight over that, but we're just going to probably draw that out for another year or so before we finally get some actual action. So yeah, great that Liv Morgan's back, but the promo segment itself, I've seen and heard it all before. So whatever in that case. So we get to our next match, which is a tag team title match, the World Tag Team title match between AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus the New Day. So New Day came out with a little bit of desperation. They had the attack going early, but Lee and AJ kind of weathered the storm, so to say. But finally, it was Dragon Lee who kind of got isolated by the New Day. But after that, AJ Styles gets the hot tag, makes a comeback. And then with Kingston draped over the top rope, Dragon Lee came off the top rope with a double stomp that then threw Kofi off and into the arms of AJ Styles, who then hit the Styles Clash. Dragon Lee took out Xavier Woods, and 1, 2, 3, 4, the pinfall. Nothing crazy about this match. I think this was a nice little fun match. Think it would have been better given more time, but Woods and Kingston, the chemistry for them as a tag team, obviously the best to ever do it. But I think Styles and Lee getting some chemistry going now is really, really good. And I think, that this was a pretty good match. And the finish, though, that finishing segment, I'll give props where props are due. That was pretty well executed. So bravo to that. Later on in the show, we'll just go ahead and kind of brace you for this. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee then go up to Adam Pearce saying they want to defend the titles next week against the team that hasn't gotten their rematch yet, that being the War Raiders. So next Monday night, it'll be AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. We then, I really don't know how to describe this. We get a vignette featuring Natalya training Maxine Dupree. It was Natalya going really hard on Maxine, but I really don't know how else to describe it. It was very dark, a lot of spotlight work. But the main thing taken away from this is that Natty was being the aggressor during all of this, hinting at maybe her arrival of the persona, the low-key legend that she has used in her handful of independent appearances. I hope so. I think that'd be a great change of pace for Natty, but the way this was introduced, very, very strange. Very strange. It makes you question what's actually going on in the heart dungeon right there. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I was very confused by that. Our next segment, it is The Vision coming out, and it's Paul Heyman bragging about how Brock Lesnar was a beast. Drew McIntyre it was a great business relationship with him. Logan Paul's an up-and-comer. Bronson Reed took out everybody with his tsunamis. But the big difference maker was Bron Breakker. And now, since he pinned CM Punk, he has the rightful look for a championship match, which was granted by Adam Pearce. So on January 5th, the anniversary of Raw on Netflix for its first year, it'll be CM Punk versus Bron Breakker for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not only that, Bron Breakker cut a fantastic promo to promote that match. Not only promoting what he did on Saturday at Survivor Series, but anticipating what it's going to be like. His main line, I am upset by how easy it was to pin CM Punk because of how much he looked up to Punk and everything. He thought he was going to have to do a lot more, but it was real easy for him. All he had to do was spear him. And now it was Breakker setting the tone and everything. And he even called out Punk for what Punk told him at WrestleMania when he said that you have the look, now you just got to make sure you know how to cut a promo, to which Breakker said, how's this one for you? And drops the mic, is firing up the crowd. The crowd's fired up. He's supposed to be a heel. Crowd's fired up for him. And the whole time as he's walking away, firing up the crowd, the Vision is just standing in the ring clapping. This was the make or break moment for Bron Breakker on the mic, and he killed it. This was a big moment for him to show that he has the capability to cut a promo and promote a match. We've had the promo done a little bit. It's been a little shaky at times, but he's been pretty solid at it. But this one to promote a match, I think, was excellent. He made the most of it. He had the fire that you want out of a challenger and a top star. Maybe just bringing in just a little bit. Couldn't understand him at some points, but still pretty good. Bron Breakker, you are a star, and I am looking forward to your match against CM Punk on January 5th. All right, we get to our next match. The second semifinal matchup in the Last Time Is Now tournament between Gunther and Solo Sikoa. Winner of this takes on LA Knight for the chance to be John Cena's final opponent. Fritos in our group chat said it best. This was just two big, meaty men just laying it all out there, just slapping each other like no other. Sikoa overpowered Gunther for a little bit. Then Gunther answered with some chops and even driving the air out of Solo. Then it was Gunther with a hip attack off a clothesline. Sikoa then back body dropped out of a power bomb onto Gunther, and then another clothesline. It was just a lot of big back and forth action that was very, very good. Late in the match, though, Gunther slammed Sikoa's hand on the ring apron, taking away the Samoan Spike finisher, and with the referee distracted, Gunther took matters into his own hands and low-blowed Sikoa and delivered a powerbomb for the win. After the match, Knight came out and confronted Gunther and said that it's just you and me now, pal, and good luck. So, a lot to digest in this one, but a lot of good things to digest. I think this was one of Solo's best matches that he's ever had. Solely based on how he was able to tell the story with his moves, with his body, and still make him look like he was an actual threat, that he could actually beat Gunther. Gunther, that one, everyone knows what he's capable of. He's delivered time and time again. But this was a fantastic match. Ending a little screwy, sure, but I think it worked out, especially when you have two heels going up against each other. You knew you had to have one heel out-heel the other, in a way. So, did we want a clean finish? Maybe a little bit, but it was still a very solid match. It actually kind of protects Solo going into his next match, which is probably going to be against Uncle Howdy, especially varying on what happened last week on SmackDown. All right. We get to our main event. It is Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. It was a very competitive battle. There was some dysfunction going on with Charlotte and Rhea, with Charlotte accidentally hitting Rhea when she was going for Io, and then Rhea hitting Charlotte when she was going for Alexa, kind of getting that temper flared a little bit again from, even though they had past reconciliation, but it was Io Sky that came in and going after Alexa Bliss, Genius of the Sky. She hits the over the moonsault. As she gets the 1-2 count, Flair comes in by driving Rhea into Io and breaking up the pinfall, only for the Kabuki Warriors to come out, hit the ring, and cause a disqualification. Asuka and Kairi Sane, they do a beatdown. Then it was Bayley and Lyra, like I had predicted, that come out and make the save. But then an interesting wrinkle was added. Liv Morgan came out and she attacked Lyra and the babyfaces. Raquel and Roxanne then came out and attacked the rest, and the Judgment Day stood tall to end the show. The match prior to all of the extracurriculars was great. Heat was great. The near falls were great. It just kind of sucks that it had to finish like this. I get it. It sets up for something future. Just wish it didn't ruin such a good match. But I could just be splitting hairs here, people. The run-ins finally kind of showed off how much depth the women's tag team division has. And I think there could still be more to it, more to build off of. It's underdeveloped, and this is a great time to kind of build that back up, build kind of the respect that it needs, because you have, about 10 different women in this that are very solid wrestlers that could be, some of them are main eventers. You could have 10 main eventers right there if you think about it. But it was it's nice to see them getting the spotlight. Liv played off her warning from earlier in the evening with Raquel and Roxanne. I mean, that was nice, but nothing crazy about that. So that's really all it is for Monday Night Raw tonight. It acknowledged War Games, but then it kind of said, okay, we're going to kind of forget about it, which basically means that was just a cash grab. That whole PLE was for a cash grab because there was no storyline development whatsoever, except for maybe the Judgment Days stuff. Other than that, nothing else is coming of it. We do finally get some character development, some storyline development as well as we head into the new year, which is obviously highlighted by the Royal Rumble, which begins WrestleMania season, but it is starting to take place a little bit more. It reaffirmed who the true key players are, and it also kind of helped out introducing some new people into those roles, which is nice. But other than that, I think this was a very solid Raw. Definitely better than Survivor Series. Anything epic? No, I don't think anything was epic. So anytime Triple H says something is epic, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, I liked the show. Thought it was a great episode of Raw. Was it something epic that I'm going to be talking about for the next week or so, or 2 weeks, maybe even a month? No. I'm going to remember the Bron Breakker's promo for the week, and then I'm going to focus on next week for Monday Night Raw. But nothing stood out to me that it's like, oh my gosh, that's so epic. It was just a very good episode of Monday Night Raw. But that is going to wrap it up for me tonight on Monday Night Raw, Dog. Thank you to all of our listeners. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content here at the WeBookIt Podcast. Special shout out to Virgil being the producer tonight. He is dealing with possibly COVID, yet he is still working his butt off. So I appreciate you very much, Virgil, for doing this when you are not feeling well, and I hope you feel a lot better, man. But I'm Coach, and I will see you guys next week on another edition of Monday Night Raw, Dog.